All right, well, thanks for joining us for the 10 a.m. Collider coffee break this Friday, where we just take some time to sit down and share with you the latest updates, news, and what we've been working on at Collider this week. So as a reminder, for those of you listening in, Collider is a Rochester-based nonprofit that supports Rochester entrepreneurs through events, education, space, and storytelling. So I will turn it over to Jamie to let him share his updates for you.
Thanks so much, Amanda. So this week we've really been focused on planning for the next year here at Collider. We've also been working on a number of grants, hopefully, fingers crossed, that we get. And really, again, just all of this to fuel the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Rochester. So I would like to say we had a bunch of fancy events and online things this week, but sometimes it's important to take time to look at the health of your own organization as well. So here's hoping that things turn out great. I'm also really looking forward to Twin Cities Startup Week. So starting next week, Twin Cities Startup Week will be virtual, and that gives a lot of us here in Southern Minnesota maybe really our first taste of what it's like. If you haven't been able to go up to the Twin Cities, this is a great chance to be involved with a lot of the great panels and a lot of the great speakers that Twin Cities Startup Week can really leverage. And we're so grateful this year that they're being more inclusive of greater Minnesota, and really looking forward to some of those panels as well. So check out Twin Cities Startup Week. The link should be somewhere here below. Speaking of events, coming up on September 18th, we are going to do our first E1 Expo. E1 is a collaborative of 15 different organizations around southeastern Minnesota who are all laser focused on supporting entrepreneurs. And we wanted to put together an in-person expo, but unfortunately, as the usual excuse goes nowadays, COVID. So we decided to move our expo virtual and actually host it maybe over the next couple of months instead of one giant day. So on September 18th, we are honored to be focused on civic leaders and engaging with civic leaders about how and why entrepreneurship is important to them and how entrepreneurship should be adopted as a strategy to really help our ecosystem grow. So we are honored to have Greg Tevin from Emerging Prairie in Fargo, who's going to be our keynote speaker. Greg has really driven the growth of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Fargo, and I think he's going to have a great story to tell as well. And then Greg will be moderating a panel which will consist of various civic leaders from around the region, including here in Rochester, our own Mayor Kim Norton and Council Member Nick Campion. So it should be a great time. So again, September 18th, and again, the link should be somewhere in the description for this video.
So the main thing I wanted to talk about today was our Ecosystem Navigator program. So if you remember from last week or the last few weeks, we were doing interviews to bring on 3 contract individuals to serve as what we're calling ecosystem navigators. So these people would basically function as ecosystem builders in the community. So they would meet with entrepreneurs where they're at, understand what that entrepreneur needs to further their personal or professional development, and they'll connect them in with whatever resource that the entrepreneur needs most at that time. So we wrapped up our interviews this week. We got to meet some amazing individuals in the community. We waiting for a few more things to work themselves out before we announce those navigators to you. But so far, I'm very, very excited with momentum with this program. So while we've been interviewing these navigators, we've also been building their training, which has been fairly time consuming. That's been the majority of what I've been doing for the past month. So we do want to give these navigators enough freedom and flexibility to do their role, but they also need to meet goals with this program, make sure that we're we're really serving entrepreneurs and making sure we're listening to their needs and capturing their needs and what they're saying. So, and that they get connected, and the entrepreneurs get connected into the right resource at the right time that they need to make their journey the most efficient. So part of that is actually building a roadmap to the entrepreneurial community, or some kind of guide that will help our navigators learn more about the entrepreneurial service organizations, or organizations that support entrepreneurs or businesses in some manner. And as part of this resource, we want the entrepreneurs to use it to understand, you know, who do these service organizations best serve? Like at what stage in business development, what type of business? So we can be very efficient with everyone's time and make sure that entrepreneur is getting connected in with the right service for them. So as you can imagine, that's been a massive undertaking. And it started when I had these conversations with the community over the winter time, really understanding where each of these organizations sit in the community. And really what we found was there's not much overlap between services provided between different organizations and the exact type and stage of business that they're best positioned to serve. So that's a good thing, but that means there's a lot of information to sift through and prepare for our navigators. And we will be sharing this with the community in some form later down the road. But right now, our priority is getting it made and into the hands of the navigators so they can do their job most efficiently and serve the most efficiently in our community. So that has been the majority of what I've been working on this week. I also wanted to talk to you about what we shared on Rochester Rising this week. So on the podcast, we shared episode 191, where we got to listen into a conversation with Scott Schwalbe. So Scott is a retired veteran from the Navy, and he runs NimbeLink, which is an Internet of Things cellular solutions company. And we got to listen into a recent webinar from the E1 Tech Talks. So if you haven't listened into the webinar yet, watch the YouTube channel or watch the YouTube video, tune into the podcast. It's a really great and honest conversation about how Scott grew his company here, conversations you should have with potential co-founders as opposed to potential hires, you know, why it's important to ask for mentorship as an entrepreneur and why you shouldn't be afraid to do that. So definitely tune into the podcast. Reminder to those of you who are big YouTube fans, you can find the Rochester Rising podcast on the Rochester Rising YouTube channel, and it has its own playlist. So if that's how you listen in to a lot of audio content, how you watch videos, check that out and make sure you're subscribed to that channel and get notified whenever new videos come out. So that was a podcast. On the Rochester Rising website this week, we just shared some very cool news. Two Rochester-based startups, Knomics and Sherpa, are finalists for the Minnesota Startup Awards. These awards are presented through TechMN, which is a Twin Cities-based technology news platform, and Twin Cities Startup Week. Both startups are competing in different categories, so there's no overlap, but we really encourage everyone to go out and, well, you don't have to go anywhere. Click on our article and vote for these support these startups journey through that competition. So you can check out that article on our website and learn more about Sherpa and Knomics and what they're doing in the community. And finally, wherever you are watching in right now, I am asking you, the biggest thing you can do to help us is to like our videos and subscribe to our channels or follow us wherever you're listening in. So if you're listening and on YouTube, take 5 seconds and like this video and subscribe and make sure you're getting notified when new videos come out. If you're watching us on Facebook, like this video. Again, it comes out every Friday at 10 a.m., but you can watch it whenever. So make sure you are receiving those notifications. And we also put this video out on the Rochester Rising Instagram IGTV. So multiple platforms, so check it out wherever you prefer to consume your content. So I'll turn it over to Jamie for any final thoughts.
So this week, I sat down and I reread one of my, basically the Bible that I use in my entrepreneurial ecosystem building efforts, startup communities, and it was just this is the second edition that just came out. It's almost an entirely different book, which is really cool. And I've been there's a lot of different parts of this book that have started to really resonate a little bit more with me as I've continued my journey over the last 8 years here in Rochester. And I'm really excited about taking a lot of the new ideas from this book and seeing how we can apply them here in Rochester. It felt incredibly validating to me that, you know, Bradfeld continues to push this idea of entrepreneurs first, that the entrepreneurs should be the ones really taking the lead in a startup community. And so I think a huge focus of Collider, as I've said before in other videos previous to this one, is really to focus in on those entrepreneurs and to listen to what their needs are and encourage them to take an active role in their local startup communities. So it's a great read, highly recommend it. Again, there'll be a link. I sound like a broken record, but there will be a link in the comments. So please check this book out. It is well worth your time to read it. And with that, I'll send it back to Amanda.
All right, so thanks so much to everyone for tuning in to our 10 a.m. coffee break this morning. We are here every Friday at 10 a.m. You can listen in live or you can watch us after the video is completed. So we'll see you next Friday.